Alright, day 9 of the game jam. Oh god. Gotta very quickly check and make sure that we're actually up and live here. YouTube looks like it's operating well. And Twitch looks like it's operating well. Cool. Alright, what are our objectives today? Well, we've got a couple of things. We're still firing all our torpedoes at the same time. Our cannon projectiles are not hitting the enemy, so something's wrong with the projectiles there. We need to implement the other enemy types. We need to dynamically adjust the player hurt box. We need to be able to choose the boat we want to use and add a progression system, among other things. So let's start by fixing the cannon projectiles, since we kind of have an idea on what's going on with that. So we need to go to our blueprints here. So we know the torpedoes are working because of yesterday's experiments. I think it's just because we did actor begin overlap. So I think that's what we need to do for the cannon projectile. Instead of relying on component hit, just do event actor begin overlap. Then we can get rid of this casting. Let's test this now. Right. We need to make sure we're testing in the right level. Let's add some cannons. We say that they're shooting. Okay. They did hit. They did hit. So now what we want to check, make sure that they apply damage. They're currently set at 50 damage. So if we shoot a cannon twice at the enemy should die. There they are. Oh, we hit ourselves. That's rough. So let's see if we can add a branch here. We gotta be careful, actually, because we don't want to be able to say... Hold on. There's a way we can fix this. If we go to our weapons, go to the cannon, drag this out a little bit, that might help. Oh, are they not calling their shots now? Oh, because I didn't plug this in. Right. That might help. Oh, we shot ourselves. We're still shooting ourselves. Why? Shoot. Can we do... let's see. What if we had a variable called owner? Nope. Source actor. Make it an actor, get the object reference. And then branch. Are these equal? And then if false, do your thing. Then what we'll do is during the single shoot, drag this out, set source actor. And then get player character. Nope, we're still hitting ourselves. Why are we hitting ourselves? Is the other actor equal to source actor? If no, then apply damage. Okay, what if I do if yes? So if we do yes, it doesn't work. What if I do player character, then hook up false? Okay, at least we're not hitting ourselves now. But we're also not hitting the enemy. Okay, Torpedo, what did you do? It also looks like we're only hitting ourselves when we're facing forward, when we place it on the front of the boat. So I wonder if... Actually, is there a way to do... Ignore actor when moving. Maybe this? Nope, we still hit ourselves. What are we doing here? Okay, so that clearly doesn't work. We gotta do something different here. Oh, here's what we can do. We just need to give the player a tag at the, let's call it enemy. And what we'll do is actually promote this to a variable. We need to go to the player about and give them a tag. Player tag. Set tag. So if the player shoots, we will set the tag as enemy, and therefore it'll only hit things that are called enemy. So now we just need to go to our enemy blueprint. Give it the enemy tag. This might work. Emphasis on might. Okay, we didn't hit ourselves that time. Didn't quite hit the enemy. He's ignoring our shots again. Health is 100. Here, we'll also give the hurt box the enemy tag. Make sure we're consistent in our spelling on that. Does the actor have tag that? If true, apply damage. Let's also print string so we know that this is working. Okay, we saw print string. Saw another print string. Okay, so he's calling his shots, but he's not taking damage. 50 damage. Event any damage, health minus that. Is health less than or equal to 0 if he has destroy actor. That's so strange. We're getting collisions, but they're not... Hold on. Damaged. Make sure we're seeing the same thing here. Okay. He's taking the damage. Or he's taking the hits. He's just not taking damage. Apply damage. Damaged actor. Maybe make sure this also has the tag. It has the tag. Here, print what you're hitting for me, please. Okay, you're hitting the bow, but you're not applying damage. Where's the triple barrel cannon blueprint? Maybe that's not set up correctly? Triple barrel cannon is at 10 damage. Okay, let's raise that to 100. It should one-shot now. Well, it seems to be working now. Not sure what was going on with that. Let's just make sure the single barrel cannons are working too. Okay, so something's not going right with the single barrel cannon. Oh, because I have it set as 20. Set it back to 50. Triple barrel cannons is set as 20. Okay, so single barrel cannon should be a 2-shot right now. That's 1 shot. Okay. So glad that's done. Jesus. Okay, so we need to set the hurt box back to being hidden in game. We need the triple barrel cannons to stop displaying their line trace. So successes. Fixed collision, fixed cannon projectiles. Check target for tags. Enemy versus player. Cool. So let's start working on adjusting the player's hurt box based on what they are. I think we already started with an array for their hurt box, right? Not this one. Close all this for right now. Customization HUD. Get rid of that. Boat customization HUD. And weapon. Okay, that's why. Okay. So we need to adjust the hurt box dynamically. Was it actually saved in here? Well, our hurt box isn't even properly aligned right now, so that's not particularly great. So let's make our hurt box transforms array. Where's our event begin play? Pick boat. Get hurt box. Set relative transform. And how did we do that in here? Get array, boat choice. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. So, make this into a transforms array. It's so hot in this room right now. Get this. Get a copy. And then get boat choice. Now let's get this properly aligned. That should be good. So let's add an array element and get this information transferred over. Starting with the location. Rotation is always 0, so that's fine. We just need to copy the scale. Cool. Now let's add another array element, because we're going to need to do this for the cruiser. Or battleship first. We can just copy this information like that. One more time here. Okay. So we definitely need to scale this up quite a bit. Center it right here. Something like that. That forward. Okay, now we just need a top perspective. Yeah, that should be good. Cool, so let's get that location. And scale. There we go. Alright, and finally, the cruiser. We'll start from the left perspective here. I think the height is fine. It's more so the left to right. Oops. Maybe right about there. Scale it out. The height also kind of looks like it works. I don't know if I want to count the towers since we don't need to count the towers for the other ships. And you're already a massive target, so it's not a big deal. We'll scale this in. Something like that should work. Let's add our array element. Get our scale. You know, I need to set an alarm because the stream does need to end at a certain time today. Alarm, set it for, let's set it for 3 o'clock. Cool. All right. We got our transforms in here. Everything is plugged in correctly. Cool. So now we can just make this visible so we can test it. So to test this, we need to, because we still don't have boat customization choices here, let's set it to 1 first. Okay, that looks correct. Is it not loading our save properly? Event begin play, add to viewport. Start customization, pick boat. Oh, we're not loading the boat number from the save anymore. Okay, that's a little awkward. We can fix that later though. Okay, that hurt box looks correct. And then finally, there we go. I'm not sure why this flickering is going on. Okay, let's hide that hitbox. It's got to be something with the model itself, right? Because I don't think the other models are having that same issue. Let's try custom LOD and see if that maybe fixes it. Nope. Still flickering. Okay. Oh. Reduction settings. Here we go. Compute beta normals, generous. Let's turn those off, see what that does for us. Still flickering. How about remove degenerates? Okay. Level of detail. Nope. Yeah, still flickering. Only from the front and rear though, which is bad because that's where the player's gonna mostly see this. Maybe there's something in here we can do. Master post component, physics, clothing simulation, collision, a shadow, visible. Not sure. We need more mechanics to get done though, so we'll just put that as something to look into later. We do still need to make an ability to pick our boat, so how about we get that going? Go to blueprints, go to widgets. We'll create a new widget and call it select boat. Select boat. So let's get a horizontal box. Or not a horizontal box. Doing this completely out of order here. We want a vertical box. Make sure it is center aligned. We're gonna do something like this. Get some text. Make sure that text is center aligned. We're gonna bump the size to 48. Give it a 5 outline, give it the 2 shadows. We're gonna say select your boat. Cool. Now we're gonna need a horizontal box. Or, yeah, horizontal box. Horizontal box, and then a vertical box. That way we can have the name of the boat and the button below it. So get some text and then get a button. We'll call this PT boat. Get an image. Okay, so this is where we're going to need to get some image thumbnails here. Let's do top view, lit. Is it just me or is that an angle? I think it's just me. I think I'm crazy. Preview scene. Change the environment to we'll do that. This. Cool. Now let's look at the battleship. And then that screenshot, was it the nose facing the top? Nope, nose was facing bottom. Okay. Get this as well. Then finally, let's get our boat, little boat here. Okay, and then we need to get Krita. Get a sip of water. Uh, 720 by 720 should be good. Okay. Get our cruiser in here. We want to do our best to center this. Also might be too big for this. So here. Yeah, let's do maybe 90%. There we go. Let's try 95% here, 95%. Yeah, okay. Get that color, paint bucket. We'll save that as a PNG. We'll call it that. Make a new file, same settings. Get that scale to 95%. There we go. Save that. And then finally, got our little PT button here. This one we don't really need to resize, so that's convenient. We save that as the right file format. Cool. Go back to Unreal. There we go. Now we can go to our selected boat and set that image. We're just gonna have to resize this a little bit. I think 480 by 480 should be a decent size for this stuff. We'll do something like this so that way the user knows what kind of classes these are as well. Let's try and duplicate this. Rename the button to Battleship. Change that image to our battleship. Make sure it's 480 by 480. Set that text to be battleship, medium. And then finally, cruiser, large. Cool, then we just got to get that horizontal box and center that. And there's so much of this canvas we can still use. Maybe if we drop the... Let's add some, maybe, padding to the top of this. Yeah, that should work. And then we can just add some buttons here to navigate the menu. So let's get a button. This will be in the bottom left. How did we have these buttons laid out on the other widgets? Okay, 75 by 150. Oops. I meant for that button we just added. It'll be our back button. That vertical box needs to be back to center. 5 by 150. Get some text. This will be our back button. Make sure it's got the same formatting that we've been using. Cool. And then let's add functionality to the back button real quick, because that's pretty easy. Do we have the ship customization menu open? No, we don't. We should do that. Because right now, I think the back button takes us back to the start game. We want to set this to select boat now. And then we can just copy this functionality, paste that there, start game. Cool. Now we can start working on these other buttons here. I'll rename this to Cruiser. So in here, we'll just go down, on clicked. We need to create a new widget first. It's going to be our customization menu. We need to set the boat choice. Okay, maybe not there. Maybe what we need to do instead is cast to boat customization actor. Get player character. And set boat choice. Then we can add this to viewport. And then remove from parent. Should be all we need to do for that. So let's do the next one, Battleship. Also make sure these images are not hit testable. We'll need to test that. Start menu. We need to tell the start game menu to go to this menu now. Okay, so start customization, and then remove from parent. Then for start game, when you click new game, create widget, select boat, add to viewport, and remove from parent. There's stuff we need to load when we click load game. I'm just trying to, we'll have to tweak that later. Okay, let's just test this real quick. Start game, new game, select your boat. All right, cool, that's working. Real quick. Reconstruct, gonna be stuff we need to do here. But let's do event construct. BT boat customization right here. I think in this shot, our camera coordinates are at 0, 0. But as soon as we hit one of these, it sets our camera here. So when we go back, it does that. So I wonder if we can't cast to here and set the follow camera to be somewhere interesting. Let's stick to what we're working on though. We don't want to get too lost in the sauce here. We got a lot to do still. Let's make sure this image is not hit testable and get this button working. Luckily, it's pretty easy. Just copy pretty much all of this and then set boat choice to be 1. And we can test this immediately. Start game, new game, bam, there it is. Cool. Now we just gotta do this one more time, but for the cruiser. So make sure that image is not hit testable. Go to the button. And set this to 2. Okay. Let's do cast to boat customization actor. Get player character. And then get camera. Set relative location or transform. And we'll experiment with this. Okay. So whenever we pick our boat, it automatically starts customization and resets the camera for us. So we don't need to worry about, you know, doing anything too crazy. I think. Double checking myself here. No, we do need to worry because this can get out of control very fast. Here's what we'll do. Let's add a small array real quick. Camera position array. Let's replace these with transforms. These will also be based on boat choice. Make sure we hook these up correctly each time. One, two, three. I think these were just... I guess we'll test these out. Oh. Oh, right. Plug that in like that. Okay, so we need to set the angles. That looks right. That looks right. And that looks right. Okay, cool. So now we just want the main menu to control that for a brief moment. Try 90 degrees. And then we'll also add a custom event here and call it reset menu camera. It just does the same thing. And then we go to our options menu. Check this out. Reset menu camera. Start game, I think, is the one that goes back to main menu. Reset menu camera. Okay. 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 That's fine. A bit better. Ooh, I like that. Hey. Okay, so set this to 0 real quick. We're looking at the back. Okay. So let's try negative 120. A little bit better. 130. 145. I think on event begin play we'll randomize the boat choice. Drag all this up a bit. Random integer in range, 0 to 2. Just so we can see different things here. Okay. 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 We're gonna need to set the arm length as well. Let's see if that'll help. Okay. PT boat. Okay, let's start by moving the camera a little to the right, which I think is gonna be... Let's just try that. Negative 100. I think that moved it more left. So how about 200? How about 1000? Okay, so that is moving it to the right. Ah, oh, the poor PT boat. What if we just drop this down to 500? Makes the bigger ships more imposing. The PT boat is not quite as imposing when the camera is that close. Maybe use the arm length by 500. Hey, there we go. Okay. Let's make the cruiser's arm length a little shorter. Okay, maybe that's not the answer. Try that again. Yeah, that's a little better. What else can we do? And we do need a form of water. I wonder if we can just add a no collision cube across this map. If we do that, raise it by 5. Collision. No collision. Alright, so what does that look like? Okay, we need it higher. Make it 25. I just want to see the cruiser as well real quick. Yeah, that'll work. Now we just need to come up with a kind of a water material. So for that, create a new material here. We'll call it water. Watercolor. We'll do that. And then opacity. I want that to be maybe 0.25. We want it to be translucent. Let's just see what that'll look like if we add it to this. Okay, not bad. Maybe we can increase the opacity a bit. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so we just need the actual world to look a little better. So let's make a ground material. We're gonna make this very basic. I'm gonna try and get brown here. Okay. Not sure. I kind of want to see that in gameplay just to be sure. Oh, right. It's not in the gameplay world. This is the menu level. Well, at the same time, we could also just get rid of the ground and make our terrain real quick, because that is something I wanted to do for the islands. Here, one thing at a time. Dynamically adjust hurt box for player based on boat choice. Dynamically adjust camera in main menu based on random boat spawn. Edit boat choice menu. God, there's still so much to do. Let's go to the gameplay level first. We're gonna delete our nav mesh and make a terrain real quick. Okay, so our map is gonna be pretty big. Let's try and match most of this. So let's go 150 by 150 by 150. Well, we don't need the Z that high, but material, we'll go with our ground texture. Cool. All right. We'll generate this. Cool. So now we got ground. Let's add some islands here. So we're gonna need a faster camera. Let's start by making land surrounding this, so that way the player doesn't feel inclined to test if they can fall off the map. I need a reference. Okay, so this is actually still pretty big. Go back to our landscaping mode. Let's increase the tool strength a little bit. Whoa. I just hit the F key and it did that. That scared me. Why is it flat here? That's weird. We'll close off this corner here. Why is it flat there? Is there a height limit that I'm not aware of? Maybe? Oh, you know what? I did set the height to 10. Maybe that's the issue. So maybe instead of create new, I make this maximum 50. Oh, shoot. Unlock that and make that 50. Maybe 25? 25 should be good. Alright, that'll give us more sculpting options. So let's smooth this out. Oh, that strength is pretty high. Yeah, even our cruiser is pretty small by comparison, which is kind of funny to think about because the boat feels really big in gameplay, but compared to these lands, it's nothing. Let's make things absolutely gigantic on the mountainside, and then we'll sculpt it down later. Make some lands that go in like this. Let's get that corner sealed off, just so that way we got some room to add some taller mountains in the back to add some depth. There we go. And just kind of seal it back here. Okay, let's get our player boat. Now let's just play it. Okay, the land is too high. Or our player spawn is too low, is another way to think about it. Drop our camera speed quite a bit here. There we go. Cool. We're also going to need to move the enemy spawners. So let's just get the height 150. Make these all the same. And just make sure that they can spawn properly. There's one there. There's one over there. And there's one over there. Cool. So now we can add some islands so that the player has some cover that they can work with. Let's increase our camera speed back up to 7. Or 6 should be fine too. Yeah, 6 works. So our player start is here. That's an enemy spawner. Let's add some islands here. 'Cause, 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 Let's erode this a little bit. And then smooth, drop the strength. Let's make an island with a tall mountain on it. I don't want to raise this. There we go. Let's see. Got a bit of land here, maybe? Nah. Just expand this a little bit. Okay. Let's turn this into water. Make sure there's no collision. Bring this up to 50. 50 might be too high. 10. Oh. Static. No collision. Disable gravity. Why are you not showing up in here? Hey, what if I simulate? Seems to be working just fine. Where's the water going? Oh, the water's above us. The water's too high. Okay, that makes more sense. Try that. Okay. Oh, I did scale. Let's make it 10 deep. Oops. Where does that land us? We're still too deep. Negative 500 is clearly too low. Negative 450 is too low. Okay, negative 410. Negative 390. Got some water. Kind of works. How about negative 380? What does that look like? Oh, that works better. That works better. Okay. So, save all. We need to get our nav mesh bounds back on here. Nav mesh bounds volume. Let's set it to 0, 0, 0. And then let's do, how big is this? 150? So 150, 150. Nope, 150 is too small. How about 500? That's pretty wide. Let's see, 400. How about 350? Okay, that covers the play area. Press P so we can see the navigation. Yeah, no, that's good. That's very good. Okay, we can close that. Alright. If we go back to landscape mode, can we, like, choose a color to paint with? Smooth height map or blend layers, paint weight data, flatten noise. Okay, so probably not. That's okay. So let's add some post-processing. Set this to 0, 0, 0. Get the scale from 150 to 150. Or sorry, 350, 350. Maybe 400 by 400 is better. Then we need the height to maybe be 200. 200 might be too much. Because it is too much. Okay, how about 100? Cool. And then I have a material graph for cell shading that I made a while back following a tutorial. And unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to remember it very well. So let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Okay, bear with me. There we go. So all we really need to do is go in here, create a new material graph. We'll call it cell shading. And if I grab these nodes, then plug this into emissive color. Current material has compilation errors, will not render correctly. Can only be read from scene depth. This may not work. Uh-oh. Alright, what did I do wrong here? Oh, there we go. So, if we go to our post-process volume, I should have written notes about how to apply this because I'm genuinely struggling to remember how to do all this again. Post-process materials, I think is how we do it. Nope. I might need to pull that tutorial back up again. I genuinely don't remember. I just really want to test this cell shading here to see if it works for this project, because I got a really cartoony style already with the drawings that we're using. Might be my watch later. It is not in my watch later. Oh boy. I think I found the tutorial that I learned this from. Video is struggling to load for some reason. There we go. Okay, so once you create that graph, what do you do? Post-process material, asset reference, and then that. Is that all I really needed to do? Did I really just forget a step that simple? Clicked on something down here, I think. Infinite extend. Oh no. Alright, well, if we hit play, what does that look like? I mean, our boat's working nicely. Damn, about that water. What if we set the opacity to 1? Does that let it be visible by the post-processing mesh? Nope. Well, good news. It's not affecting our UI. But... I also don't think our AI are reacting. Okay, so we got a couple issues going on here. Close that. Mud is a post-processing thing? Well, not. Maybe. If I turn this back off. There we go. Okay, so our issue is that when we turn on our cell shader, our water is not being captured. Just turning that into mud. I wonder if we can maybe lower this. Okay, any percent is gonna apparently make it do that. Okay. And we maybe have our water. Rename this so I know what this is. Evidently I can't rename that. Okay. That's not a big deal. Can we make this exempt from post-processing maybe? Or is it because it's translucent that it's getting affected? Go back to our post-process volume, make sure everything's checked. Okay, the water is kind of working now. So the water has to be opaque to be affected by the cell shader. Or does it? Go back in here. What if we say masked? Okay, and then what if we lower our opacity? Don't think it lowered our opacity. Okay, so making it translucent makes it invisible. Because the cell shader is so primitive, probably. Okay, we'll just have the water be opaque. It's not a big deal. I wonder, though... Nah, let's not get too lost in this. We have water. And terrain. But the AI is not working for some reason, so we need to look into that. So the height of these coordinates is currently at 150. Which should be an appropriate height for this stuff. So first off, make sure our nav mesh bounds. Doesn't seem like they're working. What if I increase this to size 5? Here, let's make the cube invisible for a second. Oops, not what I want. Nav mesh bounds. It was loading navigation before. Maybe it is too low. Here, let's do. Okay, still not generating our navigation. So let's do this. Let's set this to 100 by 100 so we can see it. Or is it not showing it because the post-processing is hiding it? Yeah, it's hiding it. Okay. Set this back to 350 by 350. Okay, our nav mesh bounce is working. Whoops. What am I doing? Just P. There we go. There's our enemy boat. Oh, now they're working. I guess I just had to reload the navigation. How do those torpedoes look? That's funny as hell. Okay, but the middle of the map is still quite open and empty. Like, this is the middle of the map right here. I wonder if we can't just shrink the size of the terrain a little bit. Just to shrink the size of the map overall. Let's do 50 by 50. Oh shit, that kind of screwed everything up, didn't it? Here, let's keep these highlighted. Okay. Okay, this feels like a more appropriate size. Although the shadows do make it kind of hard to see depth a little bit. Okay. Let's move the directional light. Make it more direct like this. A little bit better, but not really. I mean, truth be told, the salt shader just might not be worth it. And I'm just being stubborn for the moment. Get the enemy spawners back in the map. Alright, what about if the cruiser spawns in? Alright, cruiser's still a decent size. Save that. I wonder if we can't add maybe some fog. Fog multiplier, let's do... Well, let's see what the fog looks like with that turned on. Visible, make sure nothing else is in here. Let's set it to 5 and see what that does. Not a whole lot. Density multiplier, that's probably what I wanted to mess with more. Oh, I wanted probably height fog, not atmospheric fog. Fog density, just increase that. Volumetric fog. That adds some shadows, so that's kind of interesting. We set the view distance here. Let's set the view distance to 100, see what that looks like, and then we'll increase it from there. Not much going on there. Let's do 5,000. Apparently doesn't look like fog, but I'm not entirely sure either. Set that to max. What does that look like? Oh, set that to max. Let's set the colors down a little bit. What else can we do here? Start distance, maybe 100. Oh, I need to disable our boat's ability to climb. That's another thing. So if we go... max step height, 0. That should fix that, I think. Not quite. I'm sure it's fine. It's not like it gives you an advantage or anything, so... Okay. Start distance 100. Seen elements past this distance will not have fog applied. Maybe if we just have this... let's head to 500,000. Maybe we should increase that. Seems like the fog adds good shadows, but it's not going far enough. There we go. Okay, let's make a small explosion particle effect. So we'll call this particles. Because I'd like to know when I'm getting impacted, visually at the very least. Effects. I'm trying to remember, I think it's Niagara emitter. New emitter. Yeah, there we go. Emits a burst of sprites in a specified direction. We just kind of want it to be like all over the place. Omnidirectional burst is probably what we want to use. We'll call this explosion. Probably close these other material graphs. Yes. Yes. Did I not hit apply on these? There we go. Then let's make sure our... so it just does that. Let's see. We're spawning 100. So what if we go to our... close some of these menus real quick. Okay, so let's go to our weapons here. Get the cannon projectile, and then when it hits something, let's do get... nope, we can't get impact point. Okay. How about get a reference to self, get world location, and then we will spawn emitter at location, and that emitter will be explosion. Or not. Spawn system at location. That's not ours. Okay, what's going on here? Emitter, system. Niagara emitter. It should show up in here, but it's not. And maybe up in here. Alright, well, let's just load Unreal's default and just see what that looks like. Not spawning it, so... Simple explosion, spawn at world location. How about event hit? Wherever you're hit, spawn that emitter. Very odd. I'm not sure why that's not triggering correctly. But I guess we got other issues since our own stuff is not showing up. Go to our particles again. Let's try Niagara system. New system from a template or behavior. Simple explosion. We'll call it custom explosion just so we can find it easy. We see its systems in here. And just to make sure it's not the cell shading, disable it for just a moment. Go back to our cannon projectile. Custom explosion. Okay, so it is spawning. So if we turn back on our cell shader, does it still spawn? Okay, so our cell shader is hiding the particle system. That's not particularly great, I'll admit. So if we go back to our cell shader, this bottom graph right here is supposed to be able to make sure it's not affecting widgets. I wonder if particle systems are considered widgets. So we'll just break that and test again. Oh, we also should probably turn that back on for testing. Oh, we did. Yep, it is toning it down. Okay, so just keep that unplugged, I guess. These should be fine. These should be fine. These should be fine. Okay, well, let's customize this explosion a little bit. So right over here, I think. Scroll down a bit. You can see that it's using the arrows for the explosion is going up. So, and these are based on static meshes, so maybe if we can get a sphere. Nope. Sphere. There we go. Then we can just decrease the size of that. Cool. I'd like to change the color of that. Seems to be using a material as well. So here's what we're going to do. The upward mesh, I think we can leave it white. Actually, let's make the upper mesh orange. The omnidirectional burst, we'll keep it white as well. That's not something we can control in here directly, is it? Oh, we can. Okay. Let me set this to orange then. Really hard to tell with that blue background. And I know that's because I did something earlier. Might be in here. No. If I go back to the boats. Can I reset this? There we go. Save that. Does that affect everything? Yes, it does. Okay, cool. Right. Let's make these more orange. Let's make the burst also more orange. Ooh, that looks great. Okay, so let's test that. It's hard to see. It's definitely because of the cell shader, and that's the annoying part. What if I do that? Okay, yeah, that's still erasing particles. So what if we do 0.25? I may have to give up on this cell shader idea. It's just causing more problems than we need right now. We'll play around with this one more time, and then if it's not working, we'll give up on it. We don't want ray trace shadows. Yeah, let's give up on this. We'll do something else for post-processing. So that should be right here. Yeah. Yeah, scaling it down does nothing either. Got some fog in here, so let's just play with that. Give us something cool. There it is. There was a sun multiplier in here. Or at least I thought I saw one. Maybe that was the atmospheric fog. Give the fog a darker blue. What does that do for us? Not a whole lot. Okay. Does add a little surreal element when you see the edges of the map, which is kind of neat. Directional light. Oh, that's terrifying looking. How dark is that? Very dark. Indirect lighting intensity. Visible rendering, light source angle, indirect light saturation, shadow exponent. Don't think that did anything. Atmospheric sunlight. I don't think that's doing anything. Okay. I want to test that particle one more time. That's pretty neat. Alright, so maybe on death we add that explosion as well. Oh, we need a death screen. That's what we need to do. Okay, let's do a couple things, because there's a couple things we need to do if we want to have progression in this game, and we're gonna have to do it today before my timer runs out, or if my IRL stuff finishes early, we'll do a backup late stream just to get this done. But we need to wait for these weapons to drop and for the player to earn them. So first off, we need to go back to our boat save. Which is here. And let's set our default values now. The player is going to be given 1 single barrel cannon, 0 triple barrel cannons, and 0 torpedoes at the start of the game. Boat choice will be set to 0. We'll give them 50 single barrel cannon rounds to start. Make sure these are all set to nothing. Yeah. Cool. So at the start of the game, we need to go to our main menu widget. Make sure we load all of our user settings here. Get I need the options menu, or actually it's in our save system too. Anti-aliasing. Get this up here. Also, does save game exist? Should be called slot 1. From there, get a branch. If true, load game from save slot, slot 1. Cast to boat save. Let's get these game settings put together here. So get screen, get resolution. Okay. So this will be if they don't have a save. Drop that down there. Get anti-aliasing. Slide these over a little bit. We need to also set our full screen options. That full screen mode. Get full screen. We also have our post processing. There we go. Then I think there's some default values in here. 0, 0, full screen, resolution, whatnot. Yeah, okay. So we'll do that as well. We'll need to create save game object. Boot save. Then we need to set screen resolution. It'll be equal to your desktop resolution. And then everything else will be set automatically by just having a save game created, so that should be fine. Cool, that should all be good. Oops. On game starts. Load settings. Okay. Let's do something silly here. So my idea is when an enemy dies, they're going to drop a box. They have a chance of dropping a box. That box will be either weapons or currency for unlocking the bigger ships, which I haven't even set up yet. But that's the idea, so we're going to need to set that up. So first off, let's just make a test version of that by going into the enemies. We need to make the other enemies too, actually. Maybe we should do that real quick. Yeah, we should do that real quick. We'll call it battleship enemy. Okay, set it to the battleship. Get the hurt box values from the player hurt box transforms array. Okay, maybe that was a bad idea. Okay, we can work with this. Go 3. Stretch this out. Stretch this out again. Cover that tip a little more. Okay, get the top to bottom. Increase the height a little bit. Cool. Okay, so they're... What do they do again? Battleships, which I call destroyers in my document, so apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. Fire at players as they close in, then switch to torpedoes at close range. Okay. So... acceptance radiance will need to get bigger, I'm pretty sure. Let's do 3,000. On success, they'll fire the torpedoes. Which we also need to reposition. I don't even see them. That's why. There they are. So 240. Negative 240. There we go. $60 should be good. We'll do that as well. And then we got to make sure shoots. Okay. We're gonna have to tweak this because right now the AI shoot function only works for the PT boats. We need this to work for all the AI boats. So I think what we can do, just to simplify this for ourselves, is let's grab all of this and drag this up so we have some more real estate. Drag all this to the side. We're going to switch on... Nope. Oh shoot, what did I call it? It's the enumeration for our boats. It'll be faster if I just check. Enemies enum. Okay. Switch on enemies enum. And what we're going to do is in the so how we're doing this is just getting the mesh transform to the owner there. Mesh transform is Torpedo Bay. Okay. We just need this be dragged up because everything else is going to use this as the same thing. So select, then AI shoot, we're going to have another input here and it's going to be boat type. Will be an integer and the integer will flow directly to here like that. Then we go back to our battleship enemy here. Promote this to a local variable. And by default, this will be set as 1. Since battleships are boat type 1. We're going to need to go back into our TP boats as well and do this. So let's do that now before I forget. Promote to variable. This will be 0. So now all we need to do is just cast to battleship enemy. We can copy this information right here. Then we can copy this information right here. Yeah, so that should work once we actually plug this in over here. Set timer by event, should just plug in like this. Yep. Cool. We could probably throw this up here just to make it a little easier for ourselves. Now we just gotta make sure that our battleship does have that socket. It does. Now the next question is, does our cruiser have that, since we're gonna have to do that next? It does not. Okay, so add a socket. Torpedo Bay. That is how we spell it, right? Yeah, okay. Then we can use the battleship as our reference for this. It's currently scaled at 0.1, sorry, 0.01, 0.01, and 0.05. So we need to do that as well for the cruiser. So 0.01, 0.01, and 0.05. Then just drag this to the front of the boat. And then we can update our torpedo projectile with the new cannon projectile logic that we did to fix the collisions. So that way we don't have to consistently spawn it so far ahead of the ship. So here. Actor has tag, yep, that's what we need to do. Actor has tag. Wrote that to a local variable. Or not a local variable, but just a variable. That's all we need to do, yeah? Yeah, that's all we need to do. Get rid of this. Cool. So now we need to make sure that torpedo display get another input here. This will be tag. This will be a name. No. Text. Oh, no, it needs to be a name. Okay. Name. This needs to be an player, because that's who they're targeting. If we check the tags here, you can see we tagged ourselves as enemy. So that way, if the torpedo hits an actor with the tag enemy, it won't hit. But if it hits an actor with the tag of something else, then it'll apply damage. So now we just need to add that to the battleship enemy, make sure that it has that same tag. There it is. Cool. So look for tag player and look for tag player. We're gonna need to do that for the cannons as well, give them their own AI logic for shooting, but we'll get that in a minute. Battleship enemy. We added a way for its torpedoes to launch. So now we just need a way for it to shoot its cannons and assign it some cannons as well. So let's go back to perspective here. I think for the enemy cannons, we'll just attach 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the corners. Oh, shoot, that's not how you do that. Child actor. We'll call this cannon 1. Make it a single barrel cannon. .1. There we go. That's the appropriate size. Wonder. So here's where my mindset is right now. When the enemy fires a torpedo, it's always firing in front of itself. If we don't give the cannons logic to look at something, well, if we don't give the cannons logic to look at something, they will just fire wherever we place them. So I think what I want to do is set the coordinates for the camera, since it's part of the actor. And then we'll set the camera to always be looking at the player, so that way the cannons are technically always looking at the player. But that means we need to set the coordinates to match up with the type of boat that this is. So we need to go back to our boat customization. Go to our actually player boat. We can steal from the camera selection that we did, right? So let's set the arm length to 2000. The follow camera's at the end there. Okay. Make it 1000 up. Oh, sorry, 3000. And then we'll set the camera look at rotation to the player. We'll have to do this via an event tick. So find look at rotation. Get location. Get player character. Get world location. Get actor location. How about that? Then set rotation. That way this camera will always be looking at the player. And then we can add a custom event here called fire cannons. And essentially what it will do is it will do the same shooting logic that the player does for shooting all of their cannons, which in turn should also make sure that, you know, the cannons don't shoot the enemy. So let's do this. Getting a little bit lost with all these tabs open. There we go. So we want the enemy tag. The player boat has a way when they load to make them declare the tag. There it is. So we need to do that when they spawn. So event begin play. We'll add a custom event for the cannons to be loaded in. So custom event, declare weapons. Cast to single barrel cannon. Well, actually, they own with the child actors. We don't actually need to worry about tags, I think. We can just kind of get child actor. And then cast to single barrel cannon. Ooh, that's the other thing, actually. The single barrel cannons handle the aiming logic themselves. It's probably in the turret parent. Here we go. Here we go. Event tick. Yeah, it's using the player's information right now. So during the declare owner step, they say the owner tag. So we should do a branch here. Tag. Actor has tag. Player. Where's that tags array? Oh, I see. So if it has the player array tag, it'll look at the player's location. And if it doesn't, we will I don't know, custom event. Ooh. Custom event. There we go. AI aim. And basically we'll do all this same stuff here, but instead of getting the player's mouse location, we will get the camera location for the AI. So we'll add an input here. Component. Actor component object reference. We'll call this camera. And we will get world. Nope. Ooh, this is not gonna work. Okay. Okay, what if we instead do transform or rotation? Rotator, there we go. Because we're gonna find the lookout rotation for the camera anyway. Might as well just set that to be this. We combine it, do that. This may not work as I'm hoping, but I kind of want to try it just to see. So now we need to make sure that when we cast the single barrel cannon, we do AI aim. Or maybe just AI aim. There we go. Okay, now we need to figure out the shooting logic, which should be as simple as just do this. Then single barrel cannons. Yeah, basically just copy all this. Hold on, make sure. Okay, yeah. Copy all of this. Drop it down here. Make a custom event. Call it AI shoot. We don't need this branch, but we do need a branch for the reloading, I'm realizing. So, reloading. Reloading is false, then we can do that. Plug those back in. We can remove this. Well, not remove this, but replace this with input. No, we don't need an input. Actor has tag. Enemy. Probably replace that up here too. Actor has tag. Player. And if that's false, then we can do the cool stuff. So we need the point light. We want to make sure that our projectile is only hitting targets with the tag player. Get the point light plugged in back here. We need the reload timer event to go back up here. And we don't need this decrement. Okay, so when the AI wants to shoot, it'll check if it's reloading. If not, check array cast. Are you hitting yourself? No. Well, you can fire your projectile and then start reloading. So now to shoot, get rid of AI aim and replace that with AI shoot. Grab all this, slide this down here. And we're gonna need to do this 3 more times. So let's get started on that. So cannon 1 is currently positioned at 323, 236. So if we were to duplicate this, do -323, it's on the other corner. Duplicate this, do -236, it's on the other corner. Duplicate cannon 1 one more time, and then do -236. And there we go, we got cannon placements. And these cannons should aim where the camera is aiming, thanks to this event tick that we got up here to set the world rotation, not just for the follow camera, but for the single barrel cannons. Let me make sure we don't have any conflicting aiming mechanics here. Oh right, the aiming is in the turret parent. Actor has tag, player, then you do that. And if not, do AI aim. Yeah, that should do it. Cool. So let's test this. I believe we need to go to the game mode to change what enemies will spawn. Start wave. So if wave count is equal to 0, do PT votes. Okay, so let's do option 2. So we need to set wave count to 2. And on 2, increase wave count, destroyer spawner count 3. So then we need to go to the enemy spawners, which are here. Enemies enumeration. Oh shoot, we gotta add all this here too. Okay, so let's copy this. So I'll walk through what this is in just a moment. Let me just uncheck this, raise that up, and slide this to the left just to make sure it's not mixing in. Basically, in the game mode itself, event begin play, delay, start wave. This is start wave. It looks at what wave count are we on, and then chooses an option based on that number. Once that option is selected, let's pretend it's wave 0. It'll set the wave counter to 1. Say we're gonna spawn 3 TP boats, the little baby boats. Then it's gonna search the level for any actor called enemy spawner, which we have 3. And then for each individual spawner, it's gonna tell it, hey, you're gonna spawn small boats, specifically whatever count was set before it started talking to the spawners. And it's actually going to divide that number by 3, so that way, you know, we're not having like, let's say we want 5 of these. We're not having 15 because we have 3 spawners. Going to divide them into whole numbers. It's then going to give that enemy spawner that many boats to spawn, and then tell it spawn it. Moving on here, when it says spawn enemies, it'll create a timer that loops. It's going to spawn units based on the enemy's enumeration, which is set to 0 by default, because it checks first, do we need to spawn small boats? So if it needs to spawn small boats, it will check, do you have more than 0 small boats? If you do, spawn a excuse me, spawn a small boat at your location, and then subtract the number of small boats you have by 1. We can get rid of this, we don't need that anymore. If you don't have any small boats, if you have 0, then increase the enemy's enumeration by 1. So that way when it restarts this function, it'll say, okay, we're now at option 1. Go through the same process. If true, plug this in, get the, is it battleship or destroyer? Battleship enemy, here we go. And then decrement that. Cool, and then loop. Are you out of destroyers? Increase it by 1. And then when it gets to the cruisers, if it runs out of cruisers, it's going to set enemies enumeration back to 0 and stop the timer. So that way it stops trying to spawn more enemies. Now we have it set up to spawn battleships in the spawner here. Let's double check, make sure we got it set up in the game mode. So get all actors, loop it, that, spawn enemies. And we're spawning 3 destroyers, so we should see 3 total on the map when we test this. That's not good. Okay, what did we do wrong? Wave count should be set to 2. It is set to 2. So 0, 1, 2. Increase wave count by 1. Set destroyer spawn counts to 3. Get every enemy spawner. Ah, that's why. We need to get destroyer count. Plug that in. Set destroyer count. Cool. Still doesn't seem to... Oh, there he is. All right. Are your cannons aiming at me? Your cannons are not aiming at me. Okay, so why aren't your cannons aiming at me? Event tick. Follow camera. Find lookout rotation. Oh, only one cannon is looking our direction. That's why. Okay, so we need to basically do this a few more times for each child actor that we got. So just copy these 3. There's a better way to do this. I'm just being sloppy. Just so we can get this done, because we're running out of time. So it's cannon number 2, cannon number 3, and finally cannon number 4. And then we want to make sure that these cannons are also working for shooting. So if they shoot, please do AI shoot. Cannon 3. Oops. And then finally, cannon 4. AI shoot. Okay, that should work a little better. So let's just check it out. The cannons don't appear to be aiming correctly. Where are you going? Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with those cannons. Oh, maybe if I actually plug these in, we'd see some results. Okay, plug that in. Okay, they are rotating to look in our direction. Kind of. There is an attempt. Let's see, they're aiming left here. So if we try to go behind them. Yeah, they're trying, but they're not quite doing what we're looking for here. Maybe we'll have the turrets automatically aim at the player for the AI. Let's go back to the turret parent. We'll take off that input. And what we'll do is get player character, get actor location, get world location, find look at rotation, we'll try that. It seems to be working a little bit better, but not really. No, maybe not. Where's the other boats? Okay, those cannons are facing left. And that's not working. Okay. You know what it could also be? We don't have them declare owner. So hold on. Let's do this. Write this down below. Declare owner on where? Yeah, okay. Or can we declare the tags in here? We can. Okay, let's do that. Gives us some effort. So enemy. Oops. Enemy. And enemy. Let's plug that back in. Okay, turrets are facing left. They're not. Well, these ones are facing right. Here, let's do this. If we go to the nav mesh, right? Let's say we... Or maybe it'd be faster if I go to battleship enemy and just break the... Excuse me. So don't move on spawn. I just need you to stand still for a second. Okay, the turrets are aiming a little off. And I think we found out that they did that when we were doing the mouse thing too. So we may need to help them there. So let's break this. Let's try and mirror what we have up here as much as we can. So y times -1. Oops. -1. And that gets plugged into the x. X gets plugged into Y. And Z is minus float, 90 degrees. There we go. Now they're aiming correctly. So simple. And we spent so much time on it. Cool. So while they're moving, we want them to be consistently trying to shoot. So let's give them that opportunity. So fire torpedoes is one thing, scatter is one thing. Fire cannons. Please display that bubble for us. We don't need any of this, so we can get rid of that. And we actually don't need any of this either, so we can get rid of that. So then we'll just link it to fire cannons. So they'll be consistently trying to shoot the player as they move, and then when they successfully reach their destination, they will stop, fire their torpedoes, and then scatter. Now the nav mesh volume is pretty wide, which is why they're trying to leave the rocky cove. We don't want them to do that, so let's bring this back down to size. Bringing this in a little bit. Okay, 100 is too small, so maybe 125. Why 125? That'll work. So get rid of this. We didn't do that. Added destroyer, like battleship enemies. Fire cannons as they move. Fire torpedoes once in range. Something we can do to make them more accurate with their torpedoes is maybe before they actually shoot the torpedoes, we can have them do a raycast to see if their torpedoes would hit the player, and then they fire it. But I don't want to get too lost in that either now that I'm saying this out loud, because we have so much left to do. Let's add the cruiser enemies. Now hook this up and say cruiser enemy. Decrement that. Okay, so we need to add what we added to the single barrel cannons to the triple barrel cannons, because I want the cruisers to have triple barrels. So AI custom event AI triple shoot. Copy all of that here. The single barrel and the parent turret next to each other so we can see that better. Okay, actor has tag. Let's make sure we replace that here. Actor has tag. Promote that to a variable. Hit actor. Okay, just copy all this. Except this. Actor has tag, is the tag this? Let's move this reload function over here. We don't need to worry about ammo pool. Slide these over here. Should be all we really need. Oh right, we need to set the projectile tags. Set tag. Set tag as player. Cool. Now we just need the aiming logic. Actually, the aiming logic's built into the parent turret, so we don't actually have to worry about that, thankfully. It uses the same declare owner stuff, so we just need to make sure that's in the cruiser. Enemies, cruiser. Yep, AI shoot player. Cool. So let's replace the mesh with the cruiser. There he is. Then I actually needed the player up here so I can see the hurtbox values. Actually, no, we can't use that because that was different last time. So we'll just eyeball this. Bring this over here. There we go. And like that should be good. Then left to right. Basically perfect. We can keep that. Cool. Now we just need to reposition the torpedoes. I think the height is a little bit high. Oops. Oh, it's not even in the right position. Hold on. Go top. Okay, so we need to bring these in. Let's set it to 100. Bring it down. 55 should be good. So grab the other torpedo and do negative 100 and 55. I think having them on those sides is kind of fine. Cool. So now we just need to move the cannons to similar positions here. 155. So 155. Negative 155. Negative 155. Negative 100. Oops. Normal 155. Cool. And then we're just gonna add more to this, so we'll just do a duplicate here and get triple cannon 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I think what I'm going to do is have the triple barrel cannons be on the front and back of the ship, just to make them more intimidating. So we'll shoot for maybe 650 here. -650, positive 100, negative 650, yeah, that should be good. And then negative 650, positive 100. Cool. And then the only thing we really need to do from here is, yeah, we already took care of that. So just add them to the shooting function, which is right here. So maybe what we can do is sequence. Basically what this does is it says, hey, do the top thing first, and when you're done with the top thing, then you can do the bottom thing. It just stops things from being, you know, immediate. So get this, cast to, oh, actually, get child actor. Cast to triple barrel cannon. And then AI shoot. Then we can just copy this a couple times. Get the second cannon. Copy this again. Get that third cannon. Let's clean this up a little bit. Do this one more time. And there's our fourth cannon. Very, very simple stuff. Ish. There's probably a simpler way, but it's fine. So now that we want to test this, we're going to need to get the combat game mode and set our wave to cruiser intro, which is option 5. So set the wave counter to 5. I need to copy this. We're gonna have to do a lot of cleanup on this in a little bit. Here, we can just get this set up now. Bring this down top of each other. There we go. Once we get this all cleaned up, we'll test the cruisers. I just want to set this up so it's easier to tweak later if we need to. Okay. This will probably go right here, and this will probably go right here. Anyway, we need to get the cruiser spawn count. Divided by 3. Set cruiser count. And then just spawn enemies. Here we go, spawn enemies. Wave count is set to option 5. Okay, so we should be able to see cruisers now, and we can test their logic. Before we test their movement capabilities, I'd like to break that move thing. I want to make sure their turrets are looking at me when we get close. Okay, there's the cruiser. Oh, I forgot to change the cannons to triple barrels. Okay, let's do that real quick. Triple. What is happening? Okay, that's triple barrel cannon. Triple. I'm gonna hit save everything real quick. Something's causing Unreal to hiccup a bit. Triple. And finally, triple. What is all the stuttering going on right now? Okay, well, good news. The turrets are looking in the right way. Okay, let's plug this back in. Trying to see why it's flickering so much. I'm not seeing anything that jumps out at me as like, this is why. Let's see what that does. Unreal? There we go. Oh. Single barrel cannons killed the ship. Okay, first off, tags, enemy, enemy, enemy. Copy this. Enemy. Maybe it needs to be here. That doesn't make sense, but yeah, triple shoot. Clear. Maybe that's where we went wrong. The projectile to be player. Okay. Where's our projectile? Actor has tag that. If true, then apply damage. If false, do nothing. Tag is enemy in here. We set it to player later. Let's try that again. Accessed Attempted to access cannon projectile via finish spawning actor. Return value, but cannon projectile is pending kill. Single barrel cannon issue. And triple barrel cannon issue. Interesting. Okay, how about this? Instead of having the ship attempt to shoot every time it's moving, let's add a small delay here. Oh, let's break this. We'll do a small delay here. What is going on? Delay. 5 seconds. Well, let's not make it that long. Let's make it 1 second so we can see it. Oh, the ship's not rendering. Okay. We know the ship not rendering is probably because I tweaked this number. So let's set that back to 0. Is the battleship having the same issue and we just didn't check that? I want to check that now. Option 2. Yep, the battleship's having the same issue. Slide you over here. Save everything. Okay, fire cannons. Get your child actor for this. AI shoot. Are you reloading? No. Check the line trace channel. Is the hit actor, do they have the tag enemy? If false, then you can shoot. Cruiser, hurt box, tag, enemy. Enemy. I'll add it here just in case. Make sure we do that to the battleship as well. Okay. Single barrel cannons. If the actor doesn't have the tag enemy, fire. Tell the projectile to set your tag as player. Go to the projectile. Does the actor have the tag enemy? True. Or player, because we said set the tag as player if we're doing AI shoot. Yeah, set tag as player. Does the actor have tag player? If yes, apply damage. Let's get rid of this just in case. Apply damage, spawn, and destroy yourself. Triple barrel cannons are doing the same thing. Down here. Set tag to player. Yeah, let's rename that from tag to hostile tag. Did that update these? Hostile tag is player. Yep. Okay, try again. Hmm. What if we reverse this? Oh. Wait. No? Hmm. Well, we swapped the tags, so let's just try that. It's really hard to see the projectiles. What is this? Access none. Trying to read property, call function, break hit result actor. Single barrel cannon. So now the raycast is not working. Is the hit actor that? Point light. Get world to location. Get forward vector. Here, let's make the projectiles a little more visible. A little ridiculous, but that actually does not help much. Might need to go crazier than that. Oh shoot, the raycast is also freaking out on my end. Okay. I guess the actor tag thing is actually causing issues. So if we change it to... If we change it back to what we had before... Does it still have issues? Okay. Okay, so it just doesn't want to use the tag system, I guess. So maybe just add an input here and say AI actor. Actor, object reference. Is the hit actor equal to this? And if so, or sorry, if not, then do your thing. Need to make sure we do that here too. But let's just test that for the battleships first. So self. Oh. Is the hit actor equal to AI actor? If false, don't do that. Okay, what did we do wrong? AI actor... Get a reference to self should work. Okay, let's be weird about it. What if we say if it is the same, then do your thing? Can't tell if the cannons are shooting or not. Don't think they are, though. Here, add a print string right here. They're not shooting. Okay. Or was it because we added a delay here? Nope, there's no delay. So when we do false, like we're supposed to, man. What if I do if impact point get length, get path length? No. Get length. Path end here. Start is here. And then do is it less than 1, 2, 3. And if it is less than that, then you can shoot. What if we try that? Well, it didn't blow its up buff right away. Let's get the print string to see if it's actually even shooting correctly. They are not shooting. Print string. Okay. So in theory, that should work. I don't see them shooting though. Oh, well. Single barrel cannon function, event graph, set hostile tag. So set hostile tag is now having an issue. Man. So the projectile's not able to set its tag before it hits something, is what I'm thinking is what's going on. Let's add a light to this. Yeah, it's just not shooting. Okay, well the spawning logic is working, so let's just finish that out and we can work on bug fixing that later, because we also need to do the weapon drops and stuff for progression. So let's spread these out. so this is just boats. These are destroyers. This one is small boats and destroyers, so let's spread these out. So we're gonna need this. And we're gonna need this. And we're gonna need that before we spawn any enemies. There we go. So then we have 2 cruiser missions. And then we need to do all 3 at the very end. So cruisers, cruisers, yep, okay. So then, this plus this. Drag this across. Do you know where it's failing? Shoot. Give me just a second. So what seems to be happening with the cannons is, you know, the ship sells the cannons to shoot. And, hold on. It also says, I'm the owner. So, obviously, the cannons check if they're reloading. If they're not, you know, get the point light. Send a trace. And then, is that path length less than 1,000 units? If not, then you can fire. It seems to be failing right either when the cannon projectile spawns or right when it tries to create the tag. If we look at the error log here, you know, runtime error, attempted to access cannon projectile, finish spawning actor, but cannon projectile is pending kill. So something is killing the projectile before it can process its information, which we do, you know, on begin actor overlap, hostile tag, yada yada yada. So maybe the thing we need to do, well, it's basically the tag is being created before it even, okay, pause, rewind, play. The projectile is killing itself before this tag can be calculated. So I'm not sure how that's happening because this branch, if it's false, it's supposed to do nothing. I think what might, you know what might fix it? Just making this blank. I don't know if that's gonna really fix it, but we can try it. So when the destroyer spawns like that, we can hit escape. No errors. Okay. I didn't see any projectiles fire either, though. This is getting interesting. Okay, what if we get closer? Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Oh, there's projectiles. Did you see that? Okay, it is shooting. Are the projectiles being destroyed on collision? No. Well, we could actually probably, just to make sure that's not the case, we can add a small delay before it destroys itself, because that might be what's going on. You might have a point there. We'll just set it to 0.1 seconds. But the projectiles are no longer exploding and killing the ships, so I guess I fixed it, maybe? We'll see in a second, I guess. Just to make sure, we gotta make sure this is aligned. We don't need that this anymore, so we can actually drop this input. Which means we need to go back to the battleship and disconnect all this. We need to update the triple barrel cannons to shoot the same way now, which is just this right here. Plug it up like that, plug it up like this. And then it's on false, right? Yeah, on false. So if we set our waves back to the cruiser, let's say cruiser is option 5. So when the cruiser spawns, it should not destroy itself. Okay, yeah. I need to add contrast or something. I cannot see with this water. Contrast. What does this look like if I tweak it? Oh god, it's kind of lagging a little bit. Ooh. It's still bright though. Not really contrast. Maybe shadows contrast? Here, set this back to 1. Disable that. Maybe a darker blue for the water? Ooh, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Bring this down. That's a little bit better. We definitely want to go a lot darker though. Okay. And then since we're not trying to appeal to that cell shader, we can probably make it translucent again. Opacity is currently set at 50%, so if we try this... Oh, 50% might be too much. Okay. Let's try 75%. Or actually, let's go 85. Okay. I don't think the cruiser is actually shooting. Whoa. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's actually shooting. If both the bullet and water are similar brightness, it's not going to change as much, I think. Why is it popping in and out of existence? I'm still not sure about that. For some reason, the cruiser model in particular keeps having a seizure. Close some of these out so we're not lagging as hard. Like, here, there's a better way to showcase this. If we just go to the blueprint itself, and you look at it from the side, what is my computer doing right now? It is lagging so hard. It's also lagging the stream, actually. Let me check if Task Manager has anything going on. I guess I could close Discord. Anyway. Nope, that's not helping much. Okay. If you try to like... Oh, now it's not going to show me? Okay. You get in like a certain angle, it just starts blinking for no reason. And it seems to be tied to the model, not necessarily anything else. Because, oh my god, why is it lagging so hard? If we go to the player blueprint, it's the same issue. Let's set this to 2. Oh, it didn't quite load that. Oh, because it's pulling from the player save. Culling maybe? I think that's what it is too. I just don't know what I need to do to address that, per se. So if we go back to the cruiser enemy... Here, let's just do never distance call and see what that does. Okay, I think that made that worse. Okay. It's lagging. I'm sorry, Unreal's freezing up. Does it affect the game? Yep, still going on. Whether to accept call distance volumes to modify cache call distance. Try that. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. Let's try the model. Maybe there's something we can do there real quick. Nope. Not much we can do there, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Did I finish doing the spawning methods? I need to add cruisers here real quick. Is there a bound scale field anywhere? Let's check. Quality reduction settings. Enforce bone boundaries, lock color vectors, positive bounds extension. No, that's not that. Okay. What about the actor itself? Bound scale, here we go. Scales the bounds of the object. This is useful when using world position offset to animate the vertices of the object outside of its bounds. Warning, increasing the bounds of an object will reduce performance and shadow quality. Okay. Include component location into bounds. If true, the location of this component will be included in its bounds calculations. Let's try that. Okay. We'll enable those one at a time, but let's try this first. Oh, that looks stable. Oh, well. And then there's this guy. I mean, it seems tighter, though. Oh, I say that, and then I see that. Okay. Let's try increasing the bound scale. Let's do 1.5. Okay, here he comes. Ah. Every time I look at Unreal, it makes a little less sense than before. I mean, to be fair, I'm not exactly an expert in Unreal, so I'm probably making it look worse than it probably is. Because Unreal has a lot of like really easy tools, and it's just I haven't learned them all yet. But who knows? That could also be insane. Relevant for level bounds. If true, this actor's component bounds will be included in level's bounding box unless the actor's class has been overridden. Is level bounds relevant? Okay. Do I have level bounds in here? World settings. Still in world checks. Whether to skip bounds update when interpolating. Bounds are updated to the target interpolation pose, only on ticks. Well, it's not animated, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's increase this to 5. Let's just make a big jump. These are skeletal meshes, right? Yeah, these are skeletal meshes. Oh! Oh, we fixed it! Hold on, let's look at the other boats. Oh my god, that fixed it. We just had to increase the bounds. Oh my god. That took way too much time. But we did fix the flickering cruiser. I think the battleship has a small amount of that as well, so maybe I should just mirror that. Just make it 5, just in case. Cool. Goodness sakes. Every time we run into an issue, it has such a simple solution, and it's just my lack of knowledge and experience in this stuff is what causes us to hang back on this. But this is a learning experience. Frustration is just part of learning. Okay. Is it possible that the bounds are being made around the bone and Unreal is just culling the mesh if you can see the bone? Probably. Probably. But we increased the bounds volume, and that seems to have fixed it, so I guess that's gonna have to be where we're going with it. Okay. Oh, if you can't see the bone. Yeah, that's probably true. Right, I wanted to mess with the post-processing a little more here. Contrast. Oh, not in the world settings, in here. If we mess with the global ones and that one, what does that look like? This becomes haunted. Okay, I don't really want a haunted ship game, as funny as that sounds. If we make it more blue, what does that do? It's interesting. If that was the case, maybe the bone bounds were just really teeny. Probably. I don't think I made the bones very big on these models, which is probably a really bad thing, but let's tweak the ground, because it's kind of shiny. I'd like it to be a little more rough. Which may require me doing roughness. Set that to 1. It's half and half. It's a little bit better, a little bit not. Put these back to 1 and 1. Not necessarily bad, but maybe why Unreal was being dumb. Yeah, probably. Okay, Unreal is lagging really bad right now. Good news, it's not affecting the stream quality, but it is affecting my VTuber model. Well, I mean, we do have a lot of windows open too, so that could be part of it. Okay, I'm gonna have to start winding down, unfortunately. I know that the stream is scheduled till 3 o'clock, but I have some errands to run. Let's do one little test before we go. Let's build the lighting and see if that does anything for us. World map lighting needs to be real. Oh yeah, it's doing it right now. It'll fix it itself. Get in there, get in there. Unreal just froze. Okay, there we go. Let's see what that looks like with the lighting built. Looks a little better. The added terrain roughness looks quite a bit nicer. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. We'll have to tweak this more and more as we mess with it. You know what? The post-processing volume is pretty big. That might also be affecting performance. See if we can shrink this down. If we just match it with the nav mesh bounds, it should be fine, which is 125. And 125 by 125 is not quite what we need. Well, something like that should work. What is going on? It's like it's so hard. Unreal, please. Okay, yeah. Let's save what we got here. Let's update our to-do for later. We'll just put a note here saying updated post-processing effects. Effects. There we go. I'll put this as if it's the next day, but if I'm able to start streaming again later tonight, I'll throw a tweet about it. Oh shoot, tomorrow's March 1st, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, if I'm able to stream, I'll try and throw up a tweet 30 minutes beforehand. So that way, if you want to tune in for that, that's an option. So let's just choose what we need to do. You have choosing boat. We need progression system, display controls, tutorial, enemy drop weapons, and death screen. We're simultaneously so close and yet so far from finishing this. Oh, we need sound effects. Sound effects. Music, I might just look online for some free sounds or free music to use. Unless we want to see if I can learn how to make music in 1-Bit Dragon, which could be funny. Hold on, let's make that a note. Online or 1-Bit Dragon. That could be funny. Okay. Vtuber Tiny Jam ends so soon. Anywho, we'll call it from here. Again, if you want to know if I'll host a late night stream tonight, just follow my Twitter at kaijucon. I think it's just kaijucon, not kaijucon_. Thankfully, let me double check myself on that. Okay, it is kaijucon_. But yeah, I'll post a tweet, and we'll pick up from there if we can. If not, we'll pick it up tomorrow. See you all then. Thanks again, Awen, for